Hey everyone, welcome to Blocks. We talk about people's issues. We heal the world with our vulnerability. It's a pretty special time. My guest today, Jackass Wildboyz, Steve-O's Wild Ride. He's a comedian now. I saw you talking to Rogan about it, and when my name came up, which I didn't know, I'll tell you about it. You wrote a book.
Two books.
Fucking two books. One wasn't enough. And Steve-O, I'm genuinely excited to do this episode with you.
Well, thank you for having me. Have you had David Letterman in here?
Not in this room.
But
in New
on
York.
the show.
Yeah. My question for you, you know what the watching you, Jackass started in 2001.
It premiered on MTV in October of 2000.
Okay. So 2000. I remember seeing it and thinking, I was like, this is male relationships boiled down to a perfect soup. I still don't think I've ever seen a better distillation of male relationships in my life, to the point where I was like, I should just walk. I just picture myself just walking out there and going like, what do you need? Well, I'll do anything you want. Like, not like I wanted to be one of you guys, but I love the show so much. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how good it was.
Well, thank you. I remember when the TV show premiered, I didn't know about any of the footage that I wasn't a part of because we all shot it very separately. So
and probably having no idea what the aggregate would be.
Largely. And when the shows premiered, all the footage was as new to me as everybody else. And I was just like, man, wow, I'm a part of something really cool.
Immediately you kind of felt like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was culturally significant, man.
Yeah. It was a big thing.
And how the world's changed since then. I mean, back then, we could argue that the video camera was not yet a household item.
I don't think we could. I think it was not a household item till 2009.
There wasn't even really reality TV except for, I guess they had Survivor by that point.
Yeah.
They had The Real World.
Yeah.
But that whole phenomena, it's just crazy, man.
It was just it was just like what guys do in the break room, on the loading dock, in the room. It's just like what people do, what guys do when they're left to their own devices.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that never occurred to me is that you were all on drugs.
In some form or another, I'd say. I mean, ironically, at the beginning, Bam was pretty sober, super sober.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but once you guys started having issues, I was like, why didn't I realize? Of course you were on whatever you were on. I'm assuming you're on Vicodin and.
I was never too into painkillers, and at least I can say I never took a painkiller for pain.
You just took it for the love of the game?
Yeah, I just took it to get messed up.
What were your choice?
My drugs of choice? I had a big cocaine problem before Jackass ever even started. I was in a circus before Jackass started, and I would be awake for days in a row and backstage peeling off my clown nose and tooting up the...
You were a clown?
I was a circus clown, yeah.
For how long?
Well, I graduated from Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College in 1997.
Okay.
Didn't get the contract with the Ringling Circus, which did break my heart at that time.
Was it close, do you know?
Not particularly close. I didn't make a great impression at Clown College. So I missed out on that. I think they made $240 a week or something.
Oh, yeah.
We were competing for a pretty bad job. But I ended up getting a job on Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, as a circus clown. Got fired from that.
How many hours a day would you have to clown?
It was a weird job. It was only, I think it was twice a week that we got in clown makeup. And we had different things that we would do on the cruise ship. We would be the kind of warm up the crowd in the 1,500 seat theater on the cruise ship. We would assume these different characters and mingle around and kind of almost like Disney, you see Mickey Mouse walking around kind of a thing. And I mean, so the hours didn't necessarily apply. There were various duties that happened at different
What were
times.
like just being other characters? Or
Yeah,
like cleaning?
when the cruise ship would leave the dock, we would be on stilts walking on the pool deck, you know,
Right, right.
celebration. We would teach people how to juggle on the beach when we stopped in like the Cayman Islands. Like,
Right. What made you want to be a clown? I've never met anybody that wanted to be a clown, let alone
Right.
did it. And
right. I found the video camera when I was 15 years old through skateboarding. And I was never particularly great at skateboarding, but the skateboard led me to the video camera, which I fell in love with. And I decided that I wanted whatever career path I chose to involve the video camera. And when I was graduating from high school, I thought that becoming a creative advertising executive would be my goal.
Yeah.
So I went to the University of Miami, the School of Communications, Advertising, and I just couldn't bring myself to go to class. I was just getting wasted, and I was quickly failing out. I was kicked out of the dorms.
Coke? What were we doing?
At that time, it was just mostly alcohol and weed.
Yeah.
But whatever, came by, I was pretty cool about. Got kicked out of the dorms, dropped out, the whole thing. And it's 1993 at that point. And, well, what are you going to do now? And I said, you know what? Like, I'm going to become a crazy famous stuntman with my home video camera. And in 1993, there was legitimately no precedent for that. Like,
yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Nobody ever pitched that.
Right. And everybody
nobody had video camera. Not nobody,
Right.
but like as many people as have like walkie-talkies now.
Right.
Like you don't know nobody with a walkie-talkie, but you don't know like
there was
active.
enough home video footage to support one show, America's Funniest Home
Correct.
Videos.
Yes. That was for
it.
That was mostly children, and then
right. And very violent things too.
Yeah, a great show.
Yeah.
Truly great show.
Everybody I told my plan to as I left the University of Miami legitimately felt sorry for me. They just thought, wow, what a loser. Like, this is such a tragic story. And I was properly homeless for 3 years. Ended up, I was just couch surfing around and for 3
years. How many nights did you sleep outside?
Over the course of 3 years, I probably spent a good few weeks outdoors on roofs.
Do you just
maybe a month?
Feel like a mooch every time?
Oh, yeah.
Like you fucking hate asking people? Like,
yeah, it was the worst. It was absolutely the worst.
What did you tell yourself about why you couldn't get a job and a place to live?
I couldn't keep a job. That was the thing, is that I couldn't bring myself to go to class. I couldn't get through school. And every single job that I ever got, I was fired in short order. So
every time you agree with them looking back?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like you were just a shitty employee?
Yeah,
you were just an asshole?
Yeah, I was just really bad. I was like, yeah, you got me. Fair enough. I can't argue. Like I got fired every denomination of days. Like I got fired from pizza delivery on the first day because it took me 2 hours to deliver a pizza that was like literally around the corner.
What happened?
I just didn't know. I'm not good. My sense of direction is bad.
Okay, great.
But I couldn't keep a busboy.
Were you nice? Were you like a nice person?
Yeah, I was a likable guy. I just couldn't really apply myself to anything that I don't want to do. Like for me to be able to do something, this is a blessing and a curse. I have to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not passionate about it, then I cannot bring myself to do it. So it puts me in a like all or nothing, no safety net, no plan B, no backup plan. Canada and my dad, when I apply myself to something, it's like there's nothing I can't accomplish.
Yeah.
But
you have to like it.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that's a fairly narrow slice of the pie.
Yeah.
Meaning that like most of life's duties, I'm just completely.
If someone needs you to light your dick on fire.
Right.
Pure passion.
Right.
Do you apologize to people once you get out of that? Like once you started making money, do you ever like, hey, can I give you money some of it?
There's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
There was a guy who, when I dropped out of the University of Miami, we actually, there's a few of us who kind of dropped out at the same time. But one guy, we got in a van at the University of Miami. We drove all the way across the country to Lake Tahoe, and our plan was to become employees at a ski resort, and we would get free snowboard passes, and we'd become rad stuntmen. We left Miami for Northern California with $600 between us, and I was just kind of a jerk, man. Like I was a jerk to that guy. I reached out to him and I was like, man, like.
Jerk in what way?
I smoked cigarettes and I would spend our money on cigarettes and like I don't know. I felt like I was like trying to control like our little money.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It's funny that you pooled it. Like, well, I'll keep our little pile of our collective money.
Like that.
Did you get to the ski place?
We did, and it wasn't snowing, and they weren't hiring. And we turned around. We went from there to Colorado, where my buddy did get a job on the resort. I didn't. I became I cleaned the meat room in a supermarket. That I was not enjoying that at all.
Huh.
Then I got in a car with another guy. We drove to Austin, Texas, to have drugs tested on us by the government for FDA approval.
What kind of drugs?
Medical studies. Now, like the more dangerous the medical study, the more they pay. So we did the most dangerous one you could possibly get into, which was where they were testing drugs for pigs and cows on people.
Huh.
The reason being that the drug was called ractopamine hydrochloride. The intention was to give this drug to pigs and cows, and it would cause them to have less fat and more muscle.
Uh-huh.
It would make for leaner meat to appeal to a more health-conscious consumer. But by the virtue of the fact that if they give this drug to the animals and the people eat the meat, like that means a little trace of that drug is going to enter the human body. And anytime before anything is allowed to come in contact with or enter the human body, it has to be like rigorously tested. So for some reason they had to like determine how much the human body could withstand of this stuff before they could, give it to pigs and cows for meat.
Do you know how much you were getting?
I know that the target of the study, the goal was to pump us full of it until somebody's resting heart rate went over 150 beats per minute. And it was supposed to be, I think, like a 10-day study, and they didn't quite get our heart rates to that dangerous level. So they gave us extra money to stay 2 more days.
To get to 150?
It was such a dangerous study that there were only 6 people in it. And we got like, I think it was supposed to be $1,500, but we ended up getting a bump.
And they're like death row inmates? The other 5 guys are...
There was a guy who was a gnarly drug dealer in the study. And he said, yeah, man, like after we get out of here, because we were going to get $2,000 for the study, like, he talked us into investing in a pound of marijuana.
Great.
And, to make our $2,000 last longer. And we went up to Killeen, Texas with this drug dealer guy, and he drove us to the spot, went in the front door, and never came back out the front door. He had our money, $500 from me and my buddy. And, and that sucked really bad. But we found our way back to the guy's place. And we're innocent, hey, we're just gonna see what happened.
I'm sure he's confused. There must be some confusion.
Yeah, like what happened? And my buddy had to fix the car if we're gonna get all the way back to Colorado. So I'm alone in this guy's apartment. When he gets back, he finds me in his apartment with his buddies.
How'd you get into his apartment?
I mean, he had a roommate who was home, and his roommate was none the wiser about what had been going on.
Yeah.
But the roommate wasn't even there. I'm sitting alone in this guy's living room. He gets back, finds me, and walks in with his buddies. Like, they beat me up, like kicked me in the head, like really hard, and took the rest of the money that I had on me. And he said, if you're here when I get back, like there's something bad's gonna happen.
You're like,
And
yeah,
they're
I get that.
Yeah, I better get out of here. So when my buddy came back from fixing the car, I told him what happened, and we got to get out of here. And we ransacked this dude's place. Like we took all the clothes out of his closet, and they'd like fit me pretty well. He had just bought this snake, and we stole his snake, and we stole everything we could possibly steal. And while we're in the middle of ransacking his place, we see these headlights pull into the driveway. We're like, and we go running through the back. We dive out the window, but then it turns out it was a false alarm. That wasn't him. We got back to ransacking, and we loaded up the car. We got out of there.
What did you get? What did you get?
Mostly
from him?
clothes and shoes.
Okay.
And a snake with a like a shedding rock kind of a thing.
What became of the snake?
We gave it to the nice girls in Colorado who had let us sleep on their sofa.
While you're doing this, is it fun? Is it?
I don't think I've ever told that story on a podcast.
That's
either.
fantastic. Yeah. Is it? Do you think like this is my life? I'm living a good life and it's going well.
It's a really good question.
Thank you.
And given that my goal. Genuinely, my goal was I'm going to become a crazy famous stuntman, and like everything that I did to that.
That might be the dumbest goal I've ever heard realized.
Right.
The dumbest dream anyone ever realized.
Right. And so like I got drugs for pigs and cows.
Because there was never a stuntman who was famous.
Right. Exactly. By
ever.
definition, it's an anonymous, thankless job.
Yes. And
I mean,
like,
unless you count like Evel Knievel.
Yeah, but that he's a exhibitionist or something. He's
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's not just getting thrown out of a burning husk.
Right. I mean, I was thinking like I wanted to make stuntman not anonymous.
Were you always doing stunts? Like when you jumped out the window, did you like know how to land correctly or think you did?
A little bit. Like skateboarding taught me how to fall down.
Is that the proper way?
You're gonna fall down. Like it behooves you to learn a proper way to fall down when you're skateboarding.
The proper way is don't use your hands and arms, right?
In a lot of cases, I would say rolling out of something is a good idea.
So you have this dream, and you kind of feel like I'm on my way.
Yeah, I thought that like the getting drugs tested on me, like this is just part of my deal. I'm a wild guy. I do crazy stuff. Like this is part of my story. Notch in my belt. That was 1994 that I did the medical study. That later in that year, I was following the Grateful Dead for an entire summer tour. I went to every single show, and I would get to the Grateful Dead parking lot like on fumes. I would have and I would do like backflips for dollars to get like $5. And then once I had $5, I would buy like 3 hits of acid from like a Deadhead guy.
Yeah.
Then I would sell each of those hits of acid for $5 a piece. Now I had $15. Then I'd buy like an 1/8 of swag, and then I would turn around and sell that for $30.
Right.
Like by the end of the day, I would have like $100.
Yeah.
And then I'd be cool. And then I'd just be worried about drinking and skateboarding.
Would you go into the show?
Nah, very rarely. Only if somebody gave me a ticket, which happens sometimes.
Yeah, I would think it would kind of happen a lot.
Sometimes that would happen. But it was just such a crazy thing, the Grateful Dead, man. Like they were in football stadiums, which hold like, I'm guessing like
50
to 60,000. Yeah. And 100,000 people would show up. Arguable that there were times when there were more people outside of the stadium during the show than there were inside.
And it seemed like the cops kind of didn't care.
They left a trail of people in prison.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, and selling acid is like a really serious crime that will have you in jail for like 10 years or something. Like there's just a trail of people.
Okay, so I'm dead wrong.
One time, it was in New Jersey. I think it was Meadowlands Stadium. And I had a bunch of acid on me, and I was selling a guy acid. And as we made the exchange, I realized a cop was there and saw it, and the cop said, "Hey," and I just took off running, dude. And I was not captured.
Cops, come on out. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that very, very well. I could have been part of this whole, prison contingent.
I didn't even know about that. My thought was if they had a lot of black fans, a lot more people would have gotten arrested. That's my thought. That was like if Earth, Wind, and Fire, 60,000 people were inside and 40,000 out, you would have seen a lot of arrests. That's just my guess, sight unseen.
So then, like, I ended up working my way back to the University of Miami, and just kind of was vagrant.
You were like hitchhiking-ish?
My dad, at a certain point, I was like, Dad, like, man, I'm like, everything's going really good, except, being homeless would be easier if I had a car. And I talked my dad into getting me a used car.
Great.
Yeah, so that was the used car. I never even learned how to drive until I was 20 years old. And I think it was like within 6 months, I got my first drunk driving arrest. And then within 1 month of getting my license back from my first DUI, I got my second DUI.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the reasonable thing, which was I gave up driving.
That's the DUI version of Irish Twins.
Yeah.
Where you get your license taken and then you're right back at it. Fantastic. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. GameTime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. All right, here's what GameTime has. They got flash deals on last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. GameTime is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. GameTime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The GameTime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps and you're set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code BLOCKS for $20 off your first purchase. That's BLOCKS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code BLOCKS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Hola, ¿estás disfrutando de mi podcast? That means hello. Are you liking my podcast? And thanks to Babbel, I know that. Do you? You know how I get when I go to a place and I'm like, I'm going to move here. I'm going to learn the language. And so I've been doing the Spanish course with Babbel, and you can too, because with Babbel, you can start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. The best way to learn a language is through immersion, which means living where the language is spoken natively and using it every day. But that's not possible for everyone. I mean, if you want to learn Spanish, there are places in America you can go where it's mostly Spanish. I mean, there's places you can go in America where it's mostly a lot of language besides English. So what's the second best way to learn a language? Babbel. Because with Babbel, you can start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a private tutor or fooling yourself with language apps that are a little more than games, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are designed by over 150 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. You know, they're in 10-minute, reasonably bite-sized chunks, and sometimes I'll do one. One time I did 3 in a row because I'm such a good student. And then you can order food. You can have like conversant. I have a friend of mine in Mexico City, and we chat. We WhatsApp, because that's how you know they're not in America. You WhatsApp in Spanish. It's fun. I seem charismatic and charming. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners to get you started right now. Get 55% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com, BABBEL.com. That's BABBEL.com/blocks, BLOCKS, and get 55% off at babbel.com/blocks, spelled BABBEL.com/blocks. Rules and restrictions may apply.
The second DUI was in January of 1996. And at that point, I was homeless and living out of this car, which had expired tags. And I was still, like, I kind of was still driving drunk a lot of the time because I had no choice. I was living in the car,
Come
you
on.
know?
You don't want to.
And then, then these guys, they turned me onto this magic mushroom field. They were like, dude, we're going to go pick mushrooms. It's going to be great. And, I was thinking, oh, great, man. Maybe we can sell mushrooms. Like, so we go and we picked lots and lots of mushrooms. And then at the end of our picking session, they were like, okay, now give us your bag. Now, what are you talking about? They said, we're the ones who knew where the field was. And I was like, well, I'm the one whose car we just took to get to the field. These are my mushrooms. And I dug my heels in. I put my foot down and said, I'm not giving them to you. And they were very upset with me. And I was indignant. And I didn't want there to be like a really bad vibe. So the next time, they asked me, hey, can we borrow your car? We're going back to the field. And I was like, oh, you know what? All right. But they never came back with the car. And they destroyed.
They went to the guy's house and
destroyed the car. Now at this point, I was at it was a low point in my life. And if I'm honest, I had been thinking about using the car to carbon monoxide myself to death. But I couldn't afford.
You need a garage.
And I couldn't afford to fill the tank.
Yeah, no, there were a couple things that were going to prevent you from that.
Right. And then
your life was actually too shitty for suicide.
Right. And then then these guys
suicide would have been a step up for you.
Right. Then these guys destroyed the car, and I didn't have the car anymore. And I was just out of options. And I reached out to my sister. I said, Cindy, like, I'm just like, I can't anymore. I need help. And I knew that my dad had a standing offer. Like, if I would go back to school and actually get A's and B's, that he would pay for my living. Yeah, I could live with my sister. My dad would pay my half of the rent if I got a certain grades.
Yeah.
So I agreed to do that. I moved in with my sister in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I was getting A's and B's and it was going great. But I was drunk all the time. I was a slob and eating my sister's food, messing up her house. My sister was working as a journalist at the Albuquerque Journal. And one day while she was at work, she was taking a dump in the bathroom, reading a book of trivia on the toilet. And she came across this question. It said, what is the only college that has no tuition? Something like that. She flipped to the answer and it said, Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Clown College is free if you can get in, but the caveat being that it is highly difficult to get into it. Statistically more difficult to get in than Harvard. And my sister just thought that this would be a great way to get me out of her house. So she left the number for Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College on the table.
Where is it?
It was in Florida, Sarasota, Florida.
I got to say, not shocked.
Not shocked. Yeah, Sarasota's a big circus town. That's where all the sideshow freak people live. So I got home and it just made perfect sense to me. I thought, oh, well, I'm not really getting a lot of traction with my my stunt career, even though I had.
You're doing a lot of stunts.
I was doing I was actually doing some really cool stuff. Like during my vagrant period, being homeless and couch surfing.
People said that's your peak.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it this way, the University of Miami was an absolute bona fide Olympics factory for swimming and diving.
Yep.
And I befriended the University of Miami dive team. They just loved how I jumped off buildings and bridges, and I was a civilian and just wanted to do flips off high things. And there was one apartment in the student athletic like apartment complex that had the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 ranked NCAA platform divers. You had the senior national diving champion, the current NCAA champion. These guys were the most incredible dudes ever. And they took me under their wing and really cleaned up my standing back flips, like so I could just do a perfect standing back tuck. And as soon as I learned that, then I started setting myself on fire, like pouring, like rubbing alcohol all over my hand, my arm, and I would light it on fire. So that was my torch. And then I would go into a standing back flip and use my flaming hand as a torch to simultaneously breathe fire while doing a backflip.
So you do the spitting thing.
Yeah, midair. Just like a simultaneous fire breathing backflip, which I absolutely invented. And I could do that before clown college. Like these diver guys also taught me how to walk up and down stairs, like on my hands.
Would
cool
people,
stuff.
No one got hurt on that?
I got hurt. Yeah.
Sure.
Like there was a point, and this was what actually put me on the map.
Do you wear a glove?
No, not rubbing alcohol burns pretty thin, but I did get burned a lot. And, I was still super into skateboarding. My highest goal really was to be in skateboard videos at that time, because I wasn't good enough at skateboarding to be in the awesome videos, but skateboarding would get monotonous. Nobody could watch it for an hour. So skateboarding videos always had this crazy kind of comic relief, irreverent craziness. And I wanted to be that guy. I made it my job to be that guy. And the skateboard tour came through Albuquerque. And I met up with these. I said, "Oh, guys, like Big Brother magazine was the tour." I told them, "You guys, I love Big Brother magazine so much. I'm going to be in your magazine. I don't care if you like me."
And it was kind of the basis for Jackass.
Oh, 100% the basis for Jackass. And my plan was that I was going to light all of the hair on my head on fire by spraying hairspray all over my head. Light my head on fire, all the hair, so that my head was a torch for this big famous professional skateboarder, Chris Markovich, to blow a fireball off my flaming hair, into which I would put my hand and my arm so that my hand would come out of that fireball that came off my head. Now it's on fire. And now I'm going to do the simultaneous fire breathing backflip with my head on fire. And then once I finish that, then I'll put everything out and call it a stunt. But the problem was, because I wanted to get my left hand into the fireball, I positioned the pro skater to my right, which left my whole face exposed. And this guy, I don't know if he blew the fireball with his eyes closed or what, but he blew that fireball point blank right into my face. And my whole head, from shoulders up, face included, my whole face was just on fire. And my best thinking in that moment was, man, I better hurry up and do this fire breathing backflip, because my face is on fire. So I went through with the whole thing. The footage is amazing because, like, you see the backflip, and I rotate, my back is to the camera, and as I rotate, I come around, and you see just my whole head just is engulfed in flames. And I came up short, landed on my knees, so I wasn't able to. And so I'm kind of struggling to get back up, and I'm going through this. It was a backyard keg party this happened at. I ended up with, like, all the skin from my face was like came off, and it was rolled up like a joint. Just all this, like, the skin was just off my face. And I knew, they said in the footage, they said, "Dude, are you okay?" And I go, "No, dude, not even." Like, I had to go to the hospital. I was like, I burned my face off. And so I went.
So rubbing alcohol is not, it's like, it burns thin sometimes, but like,
if you leave it going for, it's pretty easy to put out. But
what happened to your face?
I had 2nd degree burns. I went to the hospital, and is it called debriding? They debrided it, meaning that the dead skin that's burned is going to cause an infection because it gets, like, rotten or something. So they've got to, like, scrape off. It's super painful. They scrape it off. And this happened. This was so crazy. They said I wouldn't be able to go into the sun for 6 months.
They were fine with the flip fireball thing. They were like, you can still do that.
Hospital.
Just don't go in the sun.
Right. And in the mornings for like 2 weeks, my face was like they had all this stuff coming out of my, like, this ooze, like pus or whatever. And so in the mornings I would like have to peel my face off my pillow, and it was just a really dark time. And while I was in the whole peel my face off my pillow phase was when I found out that I had been accepted into clown college. And it was bittersweet because I thought, man, how am I going to put on clown makeup?
So was your life kind of always this haphazard?
Yeah, for sure.
And then did it stop once Jackass started, or it accelerated?
Oh, it totally accelerated.
So this with money and access.
Kind of, yeah. Uh-huh.
God bless.
Yeah, and these days, like, it's like all time crazy.
Like this last couple of years.
Well,
is crazier than ever.
Days.
Last couple days.
Yeah, like I gave myself I recently bought a smart car for no reason whatsoever but to crash it fucking straight into a concrete wall to make sure the airbags work. And I've agonized over it for a long time because it's like the speed.
What is the minimum speed? 25 for airbags?
The minimum speed for the airbag to go off is only 10 or 12.
Okay.
And you want it to look awesome. You don't want it to look too awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see, I got a crash test dummy yarmulke tattooed on top of my head.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Commitment
yeah,
to the bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
This guy got a fucking full ride to clown college. All right, let's get to some blocks.
Okay, good.
All right, the big one, number 2, overdeveloped concern for the opinions of others.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we should talk about, you are sober?
I am.
How long?
15 years.
Okay, so do you look at your unsober years as some sort of escape? Or trying to get out of your experience or your skin, or what do you see it as?
I look at my entire life as an exercise in being extremely uncomfortable in my own skin. From as early as I can possibly remember. I remembered feeling like not enough. I would go as far as to say defective.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something not right, like everything's not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. Everything's not going to be okay.
Like
to this day, that's
anxiety?
Yeah, just like, like I'm screwed up and I'm screwed.
Got it. From parents?
Who knows? I just think that's alcoholism, kind of.
Oh, you just came out of the chute like that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And
because I had a perfectly privileged and loving upbringing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know people that's like, I think sometimes it's just in you.
Yeah.
And that you like gotta get it out of you.
It's also in every single leaf on the family tree on my mom's side of the family.
Everyone's kind of built the same way?
I used to say that everybody on my mom's side of the family was either dead or dying from alcoholism.
Yeah.
But now they're all dead. Like, except for like my generation. I've got two cousins on my mom's side of the family, and all of us are.
And none of them recovered in any way, and nobody.
It's really like my mom, her brother, her sister, her mom, her dad, and as far up the ladder as anybody's aware of is all like alcoholism, addiction, gambling, suicide, all gnarly stuff.
Yeah, and they all dealt with it relatively the same way. And did anyone ever come to you and go like, hey, I see what you're doing. Or were they like, hey, Steve, come drink with us?
It wasn't really either. But it's just, it's testimony to how insidious the disease of alcoholism is, that what I witnessed firsthand as a child would be enough, you would think, to educate me, to scare me straight. Like that
happened to me. Like, no, my dad was an alcoholic, and none of us, 10 kids, nobody.
Wow.
None of us drank very much at all.
Right. I mean, I was armed with everything that I needed to know know better than to drink. And I was just like, man, it's going to get me anyway. It's going to get me anyway. I'm just going to try to have fun with it.
Yeah. All right. Fuck it.
Yeah. Let go and let alcohol.
There you go. And why'd you stop? What did alcohol do that you were like, it's too far? Alcohol, you weren't supposed to do all that.
I mean, I got in with a lot more substances than just alcohol. And it
Coke,
was
main one.
Coke was Coke was really major. I did everything. I never got into heroin or crack. And I was never turned down crystal meth, but I never really sought it out.
Right. Was it available? Was it like readily available?
And whenever it was like right there and someone was handing it to me, I did it.
How often would that be?
Not that often.
Okay.
It was more cocaine. I got
meth's not very social, right? So if you do meth, you kind of just do it with one other person, and
some people do it fairly socially.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't something I aspired to too much, but I thought cocaine was really cool. Like, I would base it off of like, okay, what like radical rock star, like Motley Crue. You never heard about Motley Crue doing meth. You heard about them doing coke.
Yeah.
You know, like I wanted to party like rock stars, so I was attracted to cocaine.
Coke's good for drinking too, right? It's like a good like counterbalance.
Yeah, it's like if I would do a line of cocaine, I would need a drink immediately. And if I had a drink, I would need a line of cocaine immediately. So they were yin and yang.
It's perfect. It sounds like a great night.
And I think, but back to the whole thing with like feeling, and this is it. Like this, they call it restless, irritable, and discontent. Is kind of the default state of the alcoholic. There's just you're uncomfortable in your own skin, like, and I just felt like I wasn't enough, and that was a problem.
What's coming up to me is like getting sober must have been fucking hellish.
It was
no worse than anybody else?
I mean, the thing about getting sober, when they say like you got to hit a bottom, like the idea is that you get sober when staying sick is so hellish.
Yeah. Okay.
That, like it's actually the better option.
Okay.
Because when I was a kid, I had this whole like felt defective. I wasn't enough, and so like I would really latch on to something as my identity. Like the first thing I remember was Little League baseball. There was something about dressing up in my Little League team uniform. That in that uniform, like it helped me because I was a baseball player.
Yeah.
And so like
it was a complete identity shift.
It was
You weren't yourself.
It was like I would just take
cosplay or something.
Yeah. So like I would be wearing my Little League baseball uniform like on nowhere near a baseball field. Like when I was not playing a game, I'd be at the movies, the mall, like
on a Sunday night.
Yeah,
in your
for sure.
In your Little League.
Yeah,
uniform.
and when I was 9, I did a season of Little League football, and there's my like a Canadian citizenship card that I have where like it's like a passport photo and I'm just full pads. Like I felt the need to wear like my football uniform with my shoulder pads underneath for a passport photo.
Halloween every day.
I wore it for Halloween too. There's a year for Halloween I was a football player. And
people go, "What are you?" And go, "A vampire." And they're like, "Why are you wearing it?" And you're like, "I'm a fucking vampire. Don't worry about it." Right. Different thing.
So that was just this thing, and that's kind of how it manifested at that time. And then the Little League gave way to heavy metal. I discovered like Iron Maiden. I was like, wow, this heavy metal. And then Motley Crue, and then Slayer.
And you wear the outfits and the pants and the shirts and the
I wanted to grow the mullet.
Yep.
My parents wouldn't let me, so it was just always
hairspray,
like,
make eyeliner.
No, I didn't do that, but certainly the jean jacket with patches.
Where are you from? Canada?
I grew up in 5 different countries, and I have 3 different citizenships because I was born in England, but my mom was born in Canada, and my dad was born in America.
Great.
So I'm all 3.
Is that good?
3 valid passports is epic.
Great.
Yeah, they're all countries where you can have more than one citizenship.
Great.
And taxes only apply to where you're a resident. So,
which is California?
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah. But then I became like, my identity became like, the 1.5-inch mullet, because that's all my parents would let me grow it, and the jean jacket. And then skateboarding came and took over the heavy metal. And then it was just skateboarding was my identity. And then the skateboarding, then it turned into like pot and the Grateful Dead and everything. So I always had this thing like where I wanted to, like somehow amount to enough.
So it's like me plus metal, it might be a full person.
Yeah, maybe. And I would just listen to heavy metal music at people, and then all the kids at school were like, "Oh, you Satan worshiper," and that would like really hurt my feelings, even though I wanted them to think that.
Yeah.
I moved so much growing up in 5 different countries, like born in England, moved to Brazil when I was 6 months old, because my dad became the president of Pepsi Cola in all of Brazil. And then he got promoted, so we moved to Venezuela when I was 2 years old. And then we moved to Darien, Connecticut when I was 4 years old. At this point, I've spoken 3 languages fluently by the age of 4, forgot 2 of them completely by the age of 5, and moved to Miami when I was 6 years old because Dad became a big tobacco CEO for R.J. Reynolds. This was during the 80s, and they discovered that cigarettes were actually like linked to cancer, like the kind of, and so the tobacco companies were freaking out, thinking that their business model.
Did he testify in Congress, your father?
He didn't, but he's got all kinds of funny stuff to say about the battle and how both sides of but tobacco companies started buying up food companies because if the business model of tobacco went away, people are always going to need to eat.
Yes.
So at the time, the largest corporate merger or corporate takeover in history was it was called the KKR merger, and it was where R.J. Reynolds Tobacco became RJR Nabisco.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was part of that biggest. Dad says that he had an aberrationally good year that year. He went on to become the president of Nabisco International. I think was his deal. So at this point, like I live in like a huge house.
In where?
Well, we moved to England when I was in 4th grade. Then we moved to Canada, and then we moved back to England. I think maybe Dad started out like it was just Nabisco, Canada. But yeah, like my house got bigger as I grew up. I got more uncomfortable, and my dad was never home, and my mom was super drunk. And we moved all the time, and I was just this thing about me just made me really like aggressive and I wanted everyone to. There was this report card I got in 6th grade, and the teacher wrote, "Steve desperately wants the approval and praise of his peers, but the way he goes about it like brings about the opposite result." And that, like, I remember, like, I found that my sister, like, dug up all this stuff when I was making my first book, and I saw that comment in the print. It was just pierced, like, ooh, you know, like, it's there are a lot of dynamics where people really desperately want one thing in their way.
But you were like a little dickhead about it?
Yeah, like I was just aggressive, man. Like I tried too hard. Like when I was in 3rd grade, like I had got all the kids around in the cafeteria and like unscrewed a salt shaker and just watched me consume a mountain of salt. Like, you know, and nobody thought it's like, oh, that's creepy. Like, what are you doing? Like, creepy.
Like, no, it's awesome. And you can really respect it.
I remember 5th grade, I was 10 years old. I remember this one really, really well. Like, all of my baby teeth had fallen out. I was like down to like maybe the last
real teeth you ever would have.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I knew I could tell that this tooth, one of my last teeth, was just like becoming loose. And I knew that if like you rip it out before it's ready to come out, it's going to bleed a lot.
Yep.
I'm at the American school in London, England. I walk into my Spanish class and I go and sit next to like this super pretty girl who I would never sit next to normally. And I brazenly tell this girl,
if you weren't going to bleed a lot, you wouldn't sit next to her.
Right. I brazenly tell this girl, I say, I don't have to be in class today. I can leave whenever I want. And she's just kind of like, oh, like weird, like you're creepy, like, you know, and I sit down next to her and the class starts and I just violently rip out this tooth. And sure enough, all this blood is flowing. And I raise my hand and show the teacher my mouth open with all the blood. And I say, I need to go to the nurse. She says, go, go. And I stand up and I say to the hot chick, I'm like, I told you so, you know, like, and, you know, like just stuff like that. Nobody thought it was cool. You know, like it was just aggressive and it was creepy and everything about the way that I wanted people to like me, like was too aggressive and
it sounds like adults with motorcycles. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get that you want me to like you and think you're unique and interesting. This is the fucking worst way to go about it. By bombarding me with noise with an unimpressive thing. What are you doing? Support for today's podcast comes from Marine Layer. It's official. I'm cute. Do you see this shirt, guys? It's a cute shirt. You know where I got it? Marine Layer is where I got it. You see how it's like a nice cut and a nice fit? I'll tell you why. It's because they have good sizing thing. They have like small, medium, large, and then they have like it's medium, large, et cetera, et cetera. It's like incredibly soft, and I don't say that. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't. It's like really, really soft. Like it's insane. I got this. I got a long sleeve shirt. I got a Henley, the one with the 3 buttons at the top. I've been wearing, can I say I've been wearing the living shit out of it all? If anyone's been with me, and they haven't been, but I've been wearing it. My dog Keith will swear that I've been wearing this stuff, and I'm wearing it right now. Like genuinely looks good. You can't front on this. I look cute. It's time to invest in a wardrobe that will actually last. For a limited time, my listeners get an exclusive 15% off discount with code NEAL15, NEAL15 at Marine Layer, MARINELAYER.com. I stand by it. I guarantee it. It's a good shirt. They got good colors. This is about as cute as I'm going to look. You see the tone of my cheeks and the shirt. That's code NEAL15 at marinelayer.com. Go be a part of the magic. Look and feel like your friend Neal. Not written, guys. That's off the top.
I wonder how much like this is the thing for comedians even.
Yeah.
Whenever I had to give a class presentation, you get up in front of the class, now you got to speak to the vocal, terrified of it. Like I was the kid who, when I had to give the class presentation, like my voice was shaking more than any other kid in the class. You know, like, and it's just so counterintuitive that I was just starving for attention.
Yeah.
But terrified of it at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, like I need your attention. Like, and I need you to like me. And like, I'm just so afraid of that not being the case that when I get in front of you and speak, that you can tell I'm just trembling. And, you know, like I need to be the center of the attention, but I'm terrified of being the center of attention. It's like in between a rock and a hard spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard place. Hard spot. I don't know if that's England. I don't know where he got that. He was in a lot of countries, guys. He forgot 2 languages before the age of 6. And he used to bring it up to people. He'd go, motherfucker, I've forgotten more languages than you're ever going to learn. I'm 6 and I need your attention.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid of it. It's like going to a show and get nervous.
Right.
Like when I go to shows tonight,
right,
and I get nervous. And I'm like, this is a weird thing that you're doing. I mean, I always liken stand-up to skating, which is you're at the top of a ramp and your body's going like, don't, and you're like, no, I like it, I think, or something.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
I just built a big ass ramp in my backyard.
Finally, you've never had a ramp before?
I've had ramps inside the house. Never
Finally, he's finally reached the point. Okay, that's fucking fascinating.
So this over concern for the opinions of others, like, it's just been all my life.
If you're not enough, obviously you're looking for external help. It's the thing I say to people, like, me and everyone I know goes into every conversation 10 points down. So we're like, okay, story, good to see you. Like just trying to charm people and overcompensate, and you're doing backflips.
I know. I think it's why I fell in love with the video camera the way I did, because with like the skateboarding, I could edit out the failures and only string together the successes. And it was like this process represented a way for me to physically manipulate someone's impression of me and make them think that I'm better than I am.
Yeah.
You know, which is almost a metaphor for just my life, you know, like I want so badly to manipulate like what you think of me. And, you know, and then that's why I got to go get the, like, oh, drugs for pigs and cows, epic. This is going to make people think I'm awesome, you know? And all these years later, I love having crazy stories, but like the reality of like, I just wanted to live.
Were you excitable while you were like, I just got into clown college. Were you like sort of like gregarious and like everywhere and like, hey, like life of the party?
100%. Yeah. That was the thing with Jackass when Jackass started, that like when the shoot was over, the cameras are turned off and put away. Like largely everybody was able to just kind of be done, you know, maybe now we're going to drink, you know, like, but whatever. Like, and I just, you know, like,
well, that's
like, dude, we're done. We're not shooting anymore.
Yeah.
Like, mellow out. Like, and I never had an off switch.
Have you ever had a moment after a stunt where you're legitimately injured? Right. You've had a few of those.
Sure.
You've had like dozens of them. Do you ever think, I wish I didn't have to do this?
Yeah, I mean, like all this.
Obviously, it's an amazing, like, the shit you do means a ton to me.
I'm dreading all of the crash test dummy stuff that I have in front of me. Because it's not just with the car, and then it's the crash cube, and then I've got the rolling crash globe. Like,
right. You know, you don't have to do it.
I know I don't have to do it. Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, you don't, just because you got the tattoo, you grow your hair out. I don't know about the tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't have to do it, but it is that thing of you might have enough money to not have to do anything, and you're still like, I have to do it. And you just wonder, I ask this because I feel this way. Like, why do I have to keep doing this? You know what I mean?
It's a great question, man. I mean, I just am right now in the process with my fiance of purchasing life
insurance policy. Go ahead.
A 40+ acre property outside of Nashville.
Yeah,
we want to like open up a big animal sanctuary.
Right.
And last night I just went into a full like spiral panic attack, thinking like, well, you know, what am I doing? You know, like what am I doing? Like, I was throwing around like the math and, you know, what it would look like to be on tour for 4 months of the year, in LA for just under 2 months of the year, and a minimum of 6 months and 1 day in Tennessee, so that I'm officially like
there's
a
those
legitimate,
taxes,
it's a legitimate Tennessee resident. And that like kind of made sense to me. Like, oh yeah, there's every reason to do this. And then I thought like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just like plunking down like the most money I've ever plunked down on anything to buy this property. And now I'm talking about just sitting there for 6 months out of the year, like just gonna kneecap my earnings potential, like while all this building is going on in the property, just money's flowing out, and I'm just gonna cut off my earnings.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Like, I just had like.
But the earning, I'm not even thinking about the earnings thing. I'm thinking about like, because I watched the latest Jackass, and a part of it must be like, there's a part of me that's a little sad watching it.
Okay.
Because it's because of the compulsion.
Sure.
It's a weird version of the end of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, meaning they know how hard relationships are and they choose to do it again. They know the heartache. They know that. And it's like, it's like a new hour with stand up or any of this shit where you're like, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to like, and so when I watched you guys do this thing that is very hard on you.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't not, it's like salmon swimming upstream or something. It's like in you to do it. And to hear you tell it, it's almost like it was in you before anything.
Right. Yeah. And I think that the ultimate example of that, and what terrifies me, like to no end, is like the stories, the one that comes to mind, a movie called Stan and Ollie, which is the story of Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
These guys, and there's another one about Buster Keaton, which is an actual documentary.
Yeah.
Like these people who are like physical entertainers and like got raw deals in their contracts, weren't good with their money, found themselves in their 60s, 70s, and like just suiting up and getting on stage, like to beat themselves up, like when it's just dark and tragic and sad to watch. Like the same feeling that I got from those I got when I watched the movie Judy, where Judy Garland is like just,
There's something so physical about what you guys are doing. That's not, it's like, and it gets more dangerous every time.
Right.
With every age, every day of aging. And
and so it's really scary to me. And I think that like
what's interesting is hearing your story. You're like a real fucking raconteur. Like you like telling the stories. You're telling them well. They're interesting. Like you're not just a stuntman.
Well, I've definitely evolved. And by the way, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I've evolved with my comedy, where it's a multimedia thing. And then the new hour that I'm putting together now, as violent as it is, it's an examination, largely an examination of how I am confronting middle age. Like my aging process. Yeah. And there's a lot of lashing out at father time. I'm just taking it dead on and acknowledging that I'm at that time.
Yeah.
And here's how it goes. So I think that there's something about like being deliberate and upfront about it, and not just pretending that that's not going on, that allows me to be authentic and do it, what I'm doing at this age. I hope anyway. But it strikes me as interesting too, because I was about to say that there's the sad and depressing Buster Keaton story and Laurel and Hardy story. But what's sad and depressing about that is that they were in true financial distress and having to do that to survive.
Yes.
But there's a difference from what I'm doing, where it's like, I'm not in financial distress. Yes. I'm doing it by choice. Yeah. And that is an absolute, like, exactly the same thing as what I said about alcoholism. Like my family members, like, it's going to get me anyway, Yeah. I'm just going to try and enjoy it. It's like saying, I got alcoholism, but I'm going to, like.
I know. Well, that's what's interesting is like, are you a heat-seeking missile for, like, are you just a kamikaze pilot? Like, is there just literally as you turned on, I see the crash test dummy tattoo. And I worry, and then there's a part of me that's like, I don't know, just go out.
Yeah.
Or it's like a good example would be Madonna, right?
Right. Ooh, that's a tough one.
You know what I'm saying?
I know.
You see it. Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I can't call this one. I truly don't know what to tell her.
Right. And why is it so different with Dolly Parton?
Because she's always been cartoony. It's always been cartoon boobs and cartoon makeup and and she's in on the joke.
Right.
It feels like a manifestation of the restless.
Yeah.
And dissatisfied. I can't remember what the
restless, irritable, and discontent.
Yeah. Restless, irritable, and discontent. Like having to do it to get. It's the whole thing is just a feeling. You're just getting your nipple pierced over and over and over and over. Right. What you're doing is the physical manifestation of restless, irritable.
Yeah,
and
I don't know. I don't know. Like I know that I've just taped my 3rd comedy special, and like my first like sort of joke I tell is guys, I'm in a really bad situation. I'm Steve-O in my 40s.
That's great. That's a funny joke.
And and I'm just trying to do the craziest shit ever before it becomes creepy to watch me do it. And like that, and that's just I just leave that there.
Yeah, it's like now, you guys all used to be indestructible.
Right.
And now you're incredibly destructible.
Right. And now like we're at now is really that line where it is creepy to watch me do it. And so like this new hour that I'm putting together now, like, okay, now we're into the creepy zone. I acknowledge that. Let's get creepy.
Great. Give me the web, stevo.com. Is that where I find it?
Yeah. This 3rd special just got shot. But
okay, so the what have you done about the concern of others thing, the opinions thing? Have you found like a middle? Have you found a way to disengage?
I think that the answer to that for me is in finding separation between the persona of Steve-O and the person of Stephen Glover. That's the best I can do.
What's funny is Stephen Glover's a pretty good name. And you changed it. Steve-O's a little better, but like Stephen Glover's pretty good.
Yeah, when I was, I told you I got my 2nd drunk driving arrest within a month of getting my license back from the 1st, which meant that I had to go to jail for 10 days. And I was in jail for 10 days. And while I was in jail for 10 days, in this big auditorium full of bunk beds with other inmates, like they let me have sheets of paper and a pencil. I started writing my jailhouse memoirs, which I have to this day.
Fantastic.
It said like March, I forget the specific date, but March 1996. The first thing I wrote on that first page was, "They call me Steve-O. I'm thinking about switching back to Steve Glover because now I've kind of begun a career, and I don't know if I want a nickname when I'm famous."
Look, you were out of your mind, but you were right.
Dude, it's crazy.
You called all of it.
And in hindsight, I only mentioned that because going with Steve-O and not switching to Steve Glover, I think was the smartest thing.
Steve-O was just somebody called you Steve-O.
It's like Steve-O. Like if you look at like Jackass, the people that I feel have the most like name recognition.
Yeah.
Wee Man.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yep.
Steve-O.
That was part of the. Yep.
Like I think it
helped.
The people who went with the name on their driver's license, I feel, did a disservice to themselves.
Yeah.
By not having an easy to remember nickname.
Party Boy who was?
Yeah, but that's Pontius.
That was Pontius. All right.
Yeah, I think he screwed himself the most because he bounced all over the place. Like
I don't know if he's Pontius or yeah.
Right, but bless his heart, and I'm not like slinging anything at my bros. I think that the rest of the Jackass guys are a lot more healthy than I am.
Yeah,
because I've got this like attention thing and like this crazy like I don't know. I have to be working, striving, trying to accomplish something all the time, and And as a result, like I'm always in a perpetual state of like anxiety and stress. Like,
And it's partially ambition, you think?
sure, yeah, and you know, it's something that in my second book, I I just analyzed the question because it's something that I noticed bothered me for just a long time. The question, "Are you happy?" Like whenever anybody would ask me, "Am I happy?" It would just make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It would make me uncomfortable because like my initial instinctual reaction is no, I'm not happy. I feel gripped by fear, anxiety, like everything's not okay. Like you know, like I've got to frantically try to scramble and hustle to do something so that everything might be okay. That's my default.
Yeah.
And is that a bad thing? Does it bum me out? I certainly have always felt like it was just a rude and personal and like really inappropriate question for someone to ask me, "Am I happy?"
That's funny.
And I broke it down and I really thought, and I'd say, you know what? I think I know why. Like what it is like, I don't want to be happy because I think like happy, like is synonymous with content,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like content sounds dangerously close to lazy.
Funny, you've got your father's
Yeah,
sense of capitalism and your mother's sense of
100%.
self-destruction.
You could not have nailed it more perfectly.
You have a
even worded it better.
capitalistic approach to self-destruction.
Yeah.
Steve-O, ladies and gentlemen.
You even worded it better than I did in my first book.
Well,
Bastard.
son of a bitch. Negative self-talk.
Okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not lovable. I'm you know, like
I had a thing
I'm
in Three Mics, my first Netflix, where I said I don't have the shelving for good feelings. I could have a good feeling. It's just I don't have anywhere to put it.
Nice.
And like the idea that happiness is that's a personal question. I want to say that to somebody at some point. It's like fucking very funny.
Dude, how dare you?
Yeah, like you have no right to ask me that
I'm not
small
happy.
talk.
Yeah.
But and I also try to achieve my way out of depression.
Yeah.
And you're trying to achieve your way out of anxiety.
Yeah, for sure. And I've come a long way with the negative self-talk thing, man. Like last night, like what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm gonna buy this house. Like I'm like you know, like I've just poked a hole in my canoe and stopped rowing.
Yeah,
you know, like
I don't think you have to spend 6 months in a year.
Yeah. I think
or 6 months in a day.
I think you do, and I think that whatever time you spend on tour does not count. I think you got to physically be there, but I know that I can't do that. Like we got the property, we're gonna get married on it. We'll start setting it up. But like I just can't be there because I've got to work.
Yeah,
I have to.
Yeah,
and I have to work harder and more and better than ever before.
Because of the house, or because of some weird thing in your head?
Because I just
you've decided.
I have to.
You put a hex on yourself.
Yeah, I've built like I'm pretty prolific with content creation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I upload to 4 different YouTube channels regularly. I've got all of the, you know, like some crazy combined social media following of 35 million. It's like, It's pretty crazy. Like, and I've got more of like a media department like built around me. It's just increasing overhead. So all I'm like, like the overhead is getting insane at this point. And then now, like, because I taped the special, like touring, you know, no touring. It's just all money going out. Like,
yeah, but you're making money off the YouTubes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Negative self-talk, pettiness.
Okay. Yeah. Pettiness, man. Like, when I reach out to somebody and they don't respond.
How long?
Like, kind of at all. You know, like there's just like certain things where you reach out and then people just you know, like if I ever feel disregarded, not responded to, like, I really get into silent scorn. It's pretty gnarly, but you know, like, and I like to this day maintain like inventory. You know, like I've got like the whole 12-step inventory thing. You know, where we catalog our resentments. And I do it in an app, and like 80-90% of my resentments are like someone blew me off. They blew me off, and I just managed to take that so personally when, like, the best way to get over a resentment is to put yourself in the shoes of the person who you resent. And so obviously, like I was like, oh, like I blow people off sometimes.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I do it.
Yeah.
And the best way that I've gotten over that, I just allow people to not want to fuck with me, and in turn, I give myself the permission to not want to fuck with other people.
But do you believe it?
It's as close as I can get. It's a theory, not a practice.
Yeah. What do you think is happening? Your just ego is so tender that any sort of abrasion is fatal.
It hurts to agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put it that was pretty eloquent and poignant, the way you worded that. But yeah, it's not off the mark. Like I want to matter, man. I want to matter. I want to be acknowledged. And if I'm not acknowledged,
but you also know that like there's a lot of matters at this point. There's a lot of fucking people.
I know.
Who
and invariably it's somebody who's got a shit ton going on in their life. They're like and invariably like I always end up hearing from them and like, oh, like it couldn't have been.
They didn't know about it,
couldn't have been less malicious.
Yeah,
that's I think by definition petty, that I can take something personally that someone else isn't even aware of.
Yeah,
I mean, small shit, right?
And what have you done about it? And how did it get very destructive?
I mean, with that, it's the inventory process. I write it down. I speak up about it.
Who do you speak up about it to?
People in recovery.
Okay, you just say like I'm mad at somebody because I emailed them and they didn't email me back.
Let's see what
I love it. A living inventory, guys.
Yep, I got my spiritual toolkit.
That's an app.
Yep. Okay. Blew me off. Wouldn't do my podcast.
Blew you off in what way?
This guy blew me off after two of his biggest creators made formal intros by email and text. I don't even mind saying that was the CEO of thinking about getting on this platform. It's the CEO. I was like, hey, my buddy, my other buddy Steve will do it. So guys, I'm thinking about getting on both of them. Oh yeah, let me introduce you to the CEO. I think, oh great, man. They introduced me and crickets. I don't hear from the guy. Nothing. And I'm like, and everyone's like, oh, we'll just upload under. I'm like, I'm not gonna bend over backwards to bring all of my following to this platform. This guy can't even.
But why do you want the guy? You're doing great.
I just think another platform might be a bigger audience, but
I don't think it'll be bigger than YouTube. What the fuck are you talking about?
I know, but you can get away with more.
Okay. You can finally really hurt yourself.
But that's just the first call.
Yeah.
So what does this affect? Fear, self-esteem, security, pride. My mistakes. Where have I been selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Well, I feel entitled. I'm entitled. Like, this guy's not kissing my ass. That's entitlement. Self-important. Grandiosity. I have no idea what's going on with this guy. Whether he kisses my ass or not has nothing to do with what's right for me professionally.
Uh-huh.
I bitched about it, even to and that's not a good look. I should be logical and strategic and not cut my nose off to spite my face.
I'll probably bleep most of these names.
Go
now,
for it.
But what I'm going to say is just knowing the people you just named makes you one of the most privileged, accessed, lucky people living on Earth right now.
That's probably right. And thank you for offering to bleep those names. That's a great idea.
I just bleep it because it's whatever. It's just not. It's
like a blur. Like, it makes it sexier.
Yeah, and people they'll be in the comments. It's gonna blow up. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be on. I'm talking to the CEO right now. So
Just got off the phone with
yeah, he's really good. He said he's got nothing going on. So what I'm saying is you're doing so incredibly well, and
Yeah.
you got, again, far be it from me, but I'll tell you what I've done. It's involved like different plant medicine, aka drugs, that have really made me significantly more grateful.
Oh yeah.
Like significantly more grateful.
Yeah.
And maybe it's short term, but it's
Yeah,
made me more
that's a
grateful
good one.
and no less talented.
I got to add that to my fourth column there. Lack of gratitude.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
how, and I'll tell you, this is a negative self-talk thing that I've come to. How much better could it be going, Steve?
I mean,
What are we talking about? Who's doing better than you?
well, I mean, there are a lot of people doing better than me, but
How many? In what way? By the way, if you want to talk about emotionally, everybody's doing better than you. I'm saying professionally, how many people are doing better than you? How many people are thinking about a 40-acre farm?
right, yeah.
Leave it to black people, meal, whatever. You do what you want. It's just the right amount of acres. That's all I'm saying. Black guy 8 feet away. He's in the market for a fucking 40-acre farm. So what?
You're right.
Like the amount of shit that's going your way. And again, and I also happen to be a perennially dissatisfied, ambitious person. So I know what you're talking about.
Right.
I know what you're talking about, but I'll tell you the thing that's replaced a lot of my professional goals are just emotional goals.
How about that?
That's it. Because what am I going to do with the professional goal? What am I going to do with them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't.
Well, you can.
You get a check, but it's not whatever. With your overhead, it's gone immediately.
Right.
But I'm saying, I'm not telling you anything you haven't obsessed over.
And you put it very well too when I said my jackass buddies I think are all happier than I am.
Yeah.
They're emotionally healthier.
But having said that, I don't think you have the fact that you've been able to remain sober is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And I will also say people that are alcoholics, it's a tough existence.
It is.
In terms of like minute to minute. It's just like you have to run a smart car into a wall.
Right.
In order just for it to stop for fucking 90 seconds. Yeah. The thing I wanted to ask you was what have you done that's gotten you that's improved your life in terms of all this stuff? Obviously getting sober,
sobriety is the biggest.
Yeah. Because without sobriety, it's this.
Oh, it's all bets are off.
And it's this plus like real dangerous shit, right?
Yeah. I mean, without sobriety, it's all bets are off. And what else I've done? I got into a little bit of an addiction, like whack-a-mole situation where once I achieved chemical sobriety, like I just was really going crazy with sexual acting out, which kind of had always been going on anyway. But like when I started touring comedy clubs, like every night before I got off stage, I said, I'm not going anywhere until I take a photo with every single one of you guys that wants one. And I would do a meet and greet with the entire audience. And that meet and greet was effectively like an audition to see who I would act out with that night. And I would just act out sexually on the road constantly. And, it struck me that at that time I was approaching 40. It was 2013 when it got really pretty serious. And I was like, man, like this isn't the road to being happy. I really subscribed to the belief that future happiness, that like having a good life, forget happy, but just having a good life, that I needed to learn how to have a healthy relationship, how to be in a healthy relationship, to have a life partner to help me weather the storm of becoming an old attention whore, because that's just an ugly, scary future. So I promised myself I'm not going to act out anymore on the road. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And
like it was just too humiliating and embarrassing. And...
yeah, and I ended up like getting into therapy. I ended up going into like a sex addict rehab, this like intensive outpatient program. I ended up like really, really putting in a lot of work, and I think that's arguably the best thing I did for myself, which was not to put work into finding the right person, but I put work into becoming the right person.
Right.
Because the right person would have been utterly useless to me. I would have been useless for them. Like, not like everybody. You're not going to find the right person. You have to
but is it for yourself or for them?
Meaning,
because I can be like super boyfriend. I can be like, what do you know?
Right.
But
right.
I resent them eventually.
But you got to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
If you can view your relationship as always an opportunity to express yourself as the person who you aspire to be, then like you're selfishly being a great guy,
Yeah.
Now, this is tough to apply and practice like all the time.
Yeah,
but
everything's
like,
hard. Yeah.
As a general way, like I don't know, I'm super grateful for my relationship.
Yeah.
And the since I got sober, like not wasting all my time just being wasted and going, going there.
Yeah.
And then add the next layer of not wasting all the time chasing chicks around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you free up a lot of time, and like you really kind of get a lot more focused. And then on top of that, I've got this great life partner who helps me accomplish what I want to. So I feel like life.
So like the sobriety, but the sexual sobriety relatively was probably
it's like graduate school for sober alcoholics.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's just like I
Hey, guess what? You just said something nicely. It's been me most of the time, but you just made a very astute.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, you got it.
It's just really, really incredible how when you don't waste your time and you don't like have distractions or really go in the wrong direction, make a lot of mistakes, and you have all of your time to be focused on what you deliberately want to accomplish. Turns out life's not that. Yeah, it turns out life's not that complicated.
Yeah, you're just scheduling.
Yeah.
It was great talking to you, and I'm like pulling for you.
Well, thank you, man. I think that like I think cathartic is the word where you benefit, you make some kind of progress, like a therapeutic. Like I think you've instilled in me a healthy dose of gratitude, which might last until the sun goes down.
That's all you can hope for.
Yeah.
And then do another podcast, guys. Right. And then hopefully you're that's all you can do. Yeah. See how long you can keep the streak for.
Yeah.
I am grateful from MDMA on Sunday. It's Wednesday. 3 days. Fucking pretty good. Let's see how long. And then you just try to make it so that you just become an insufferable, boring person.
Yeah.
Who feels good all the time.
Yeah, I love it.